This is my Rossi Model 92 in 357 Magnum. This is the rifle I shoot mostly at the lever action silhouette competitions here in Pennsylvania. These are a nice rifle. This is a 24-inch octagon barrel. It has the Marbles rear tang and the Lyman 17A front sight. This just helps to get you on target out there. It's just a lot easier to sight through a peep the older your eyes get, but not very many people shoot with buckhorn sights. A lot of people use the receiver sights. I might be a little different, and not a lot of them use the tang sight, but I just like the way it looks on my rifle. So there it is. It's a copy of the 92 Winchester. The function of the rifle, I would have to say, is just right on par. I know when you get them, it takes a little wearing in, and little rough edges that are in manufacturing. But the more you shoot them, the better they get. It's the same with my 45 Colt. Wasn't the best. Didn't have the best accuracy when I started shooting the thing, but as I shot it, and the more I shot it, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds around, everything seemed to tighten up as far as group size at 50 and 100 yards. Some of these rifles just don't lose your trust in them just because, brand new out of the box, they're not, driving tacks. It takes, a couple, maybe 500 rounds for you. Everything just gets kind of, the burrs and all the things in manufacturing can get wore out or wore in, however you want to call it. But this is the 92 in 357 Magnum. And when I bought these rifles, they were fairly inexpensive in comparison to, the Marlins at the time. So I think it's like $450 is what I paid for the rifle new. And I had a 357 Magnum in Marlin. It's a beautiful rifle. Wish that I never got rid of it. It was a short barrel carbine. In this game, there was a time when you could find quite a few of the longer barreled Marlins, but in my neck of the woods, it just wasn't. You couldn't find them. So I like the longer barrel. I just like the way it hangs when you're out there. And, it just, to me, it makes it a lot more steadier. Sometimes the heavier you are out front, the less wobble you get. And no matter how like a rock you think you are, you're going to have wobble when you shoot a rifle offhand. It's just the nature of it. You're never going to be perfectly still. You're not shooting off of sandbags. You don't have a ransom rest. You don't have a lead sled and all the other things you see on the internet. This is just you, the rifle, and your ability to shoot it. The level of accuracy, I would say, is important on any rifle, but when you're shooting this competition, it is not the most paramount thing. In other words, you got to be about half the size of the target you're shooting. So if you're shooting at 40 or 50 yards, and your center mass in the target, we'll just take this for instance, like a pig at 50 meters. Your center mass is about 3 inches or a little bit less, and you can hit 2-inch or less off the bench or off the sandbags, then you're in the ballpark of what you can honestly do offhand. You can hold the sight, your sight floats around in here, and so just trigger control and follow through, which allows you to hit the animal. A lot of guys out there will explain to you follow through is paramount in this game. You're not waiting for that perfect, if you waited for the bead to land perfectly in the same spot every time, you'd be waiting a lifetime, because it's just not how it works. You kind of have to float, your front sight through the animal and know when it's going to go through, and know when when the trigger's going to break. So it takes a little practice, but for the most part, even new shooters have a lot of fun at it. You can do, you can hit some of the bigger targets at 50 meters pretty often. Makes you kind of feel good. You're out there standing on your 2 legs and shooting without the assist of any rests, or you're not sitting down, or you're not prone, or you don't have shooting sticks, you don't have You know, you don't have bipods and all the everything that I see on the internet all the time. So, you know, this is just a different style of shooting. Nothing wrong with the way those guys shoot. It's perfectly fine. I do bench press shooting too. I enjoy it. Just, you know, developing lows. I have a precision 22 I shoot. It's fantastic. I just like to see just sometimes the tightest groups. Um, you know, a friend of mine always said, just gets boring, you know, watching one hole get bigger. But to me, it's just part of the shooting experience. So nothing to do, nothing wrong with what those guys are doing, but this is just a different sport. Uh, I'll tell you a little bit about the sport and kind of compare it to what I've seen. This might be a little different kind of video that I'm talking more about the lever action silhouette and the offhand silhouette shooting that we do here in our state. Uh, I have been doing a little bit of research on editing, so I'll be able to show you some things picture in picture. I'm just learning this stuff, so if it's kind of weird, you have to give me some latitude because I'm just learning this stuff. And I'm going to show you a picture. It should be right up in here of what the range looks like, the pistol cartridge range. And what you're looking at right now is if you look hard enough, you can see the guy setting the targets up out there. And, you know, this is taken from the firing line. As you can see, the targets are out there. They're small. And, you know, there's a little bit of skill that goes into this game. It's just not, you know, load good ammunition and go out and shoot and pretend or hope that you can hit the target off of a sandbag, which, you know, everybody, you know, can do. You can do that. It's a measurement of equipment, not a measurement of your ability. So that's my opinion on that. Others might have a different opinion, but that's just basically what it is. And you can see that these targets are fairly small. The next picture I'll show you, and that one too, it will show up here on the screen. This is the different pistol card. This isn't the pistol card. This is the lever action rifle range. Now you'll see there's a difference, and the bigger these are. What I showed you in the pistol cartridge is half size targets. What I'll show you in this picture is the full size targets, but they're set at 50 meters and they go clean out to 200 meters. And you know, this is what that looks like. And as you can see that these pictures, I think there's a bottle of water right in front of where the firing line is, and you can see out to 220 yards, 200 meters, the farthest target out there. And they're a little rough to see. I don't look much better through the sight, but you know, you're shooting this stuff. Deer-sized target, maybe a little smaller than a deer, maybe about the same size as a deer. Out at 200 yards, you got to think about it now. You're shooting a lever action rifle with open iron sights offhand at 200 yards. And you're trying to hit this animal, which weighs about 50 or 60 pounds, and knock it over. So, you know, if you're a little recoil sensitive in this particular event, you better get over that quick because you're shooting 30-30s, and the configuration of these rifles lends itself to a little bit more felt recoil. So you're shooting a pretty stout load, maybe 170, 180 grain bullets. Some guys are shooting 200 grain bullets out there trying to knock these rams down. Because if you hit them and they don't go down, they don't count. So you've got to get your rifle ready for that kind of, you know, they got to be moving, the bullets got to be moving pretty fast and have some mass to knock those targets down. And that's kind of how that works. You know, a lot of times on the internet, I see different YouTube videos where they have these same size targets sitting at, you know, 10, 20 yards, 30 yards. It kind of makes me laugh. You get full-size targets that are designed basically in the original game to shoot at 550 yards with bolt-action rifles and a scope. And they were brought over to lever action to shoot these full-size targets at 200 meters or 220 yards or thereabouts offhand. And then, you know, look at some of these videos where they're shooting these same size targets at 50 or 60 yards. It's kind of a laughable. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it isn't. If you're looking at those videos and seeing, wow, that's some kind of fantastic shoot. Well, you need to go to one of these matches and see just exactly what it is and how the level of skill goes from taking a few pot shots and at targets that are meant to be at from my experience, from what I've seen, 20 times further out there. So yeah, it makes a lot of noise and it clinks and it clanks and they all go over. But what I showed you, that's basically what the sport is. And these are NRA sanctioned shoots. And one of the things I've noticed about NRA and sanctions and the shoots that they have is they promote marksmanship, they promote a little bit of skill, and that's what the NRA was developed for. It was developed for a civilian marksman program to get people out and about and learning the skill of shooting. I mean, not everything is right with, especially with a rifle. Not everything is 20 yards away. We're not shooting at baking pans at 15 yards. This is this is an actual event that tests your skill and the amount of practice you have to put in. So that's enough about that. The rifle load that I use, and this is another part. I have several loading manuals, and I'm not going to really show you the loading process, but I will say that I have the RCBS loading manual, and you'll see that up here too if I'm doing my editing right. And you also see the I think I have the Hornady loading manual. It should be up there too. And if I've done my editing right, it should be fading in and out. And the one I use the most, and the one that I'll show you the load that I shoot out of this rifle, is should be up here in the screen also, and it is the Lyman load. And the reason I like using the Lyman manual is because it has both the revolver, pistol round ammunition loads and the rifle. And the picture I'm showing you now is the actual rifle data, and you'll see the velocities in a revolver with the same load is going to be around 1,100 feet a second. Or out of a rifle, you're going to poke them up to around 1,500 feet a second. And out of 357 Magnum, shooting 140 grain bullet, doing 1,500 feet a second, it doesn't sound like it's going fast, but this isn't a high-powered rifle. It's a lever action rifle, and you're shooting kind of targets that don't take a whole lot to knock them over. They're half-size targets, like I said. I mean, that's the size of it, and they don't weigh that much. So it knocks them, it'll knock them right into the bank. Not an issue at all. So that's the loading data. I do use. I've tried cast bullets out of this rifle. I can get some of them to shoot okay. I'm still working on it. Eventually, I'm going to switch to cast, but right now, for just the sake of frustration level, I'm just going to stick to jacketed bullets. And I use these XTP Hornady bullets, 140 grain, and they seem to work. I've shot a lot of different loads out of my rifle, and these ones seem to shoot the most consistent for me. And the idea is, when I shoot at 40 yards, 40 meters, and I go out to 100 meters, there's very little adjustment. There's only maybe a turn and a half. And you can see on my rifle where I have these pieces of paper on a few of my rifles, probably more than not. When I kind of turn the rifle towards me, it's just giving me the amount of turns for each animal. And you can see on this particular one, it's chickens at 4 and rams at 5.5. So there's really not a whole lot of monkeying around with the sight. There's a little Kentucky windage in that, where you would shoot at the base of the chicken, and you would shoot at the belly of the pig, and you might go up a half a turn, and you would shoot at the breast of the turkey, and you would go up another turn, and you would shoot probably at the shoulder on the ram. It's kind of how it has a figure. You got to know your rifle. and you got to know, your trigger pull and things of that nature. So the powder I use is my friend Steve talked me into this powder years ago, and the reason he talked me into it is new at reloading, and this was, well, 40, 50 years ago, and I've known Steve, most of my life. And the first thing he said, here's some 4227. When you're starting to reload, and use this particular powder, and I should have it up if I'm doing my editing right, should be have it up here beside me. The 4227 powder is usually mostly a compressible load, so you can't double charge it, right? So I mean, you can literally fill the case almost right to the top and have to crush the bullet down on top of the powder, and the pressures are still pretty low on this powder. This is one of the reasons I use it. I still use it today because I use the automatic or my RCBS Pro 2000, which is a progressive loader, I should say, and I can pump out ammunition quite a bit quicker than the single stage presses that I have here. So that makes it a little bit more easier to load. Besides, I like to load, but I like to get it done and over with, and I like to shoot more than I like to load. So that's the truth of it. Other than that, there's really not much else to say. This is the Rossi Model 92 357 Magnum. They're a nice rifle. I know they're making them again, or they never stopped making them. But I think around my area it was hard to get the octagon 24-inch barrel. You can get a lot of the carbine barrels. Nothing wrong with that, but for me, I like the 24-inch barrel, and I just like the way it hangs. And this last clip, I'll show you pretty much the stance on the way these particular rifles are being held. It's my son Mike holding the rifle. We're at a match, and he was shooting at chickens, and you can see how he holds the rifle. And it's pretty much how I do. It's kind of hold down here by the receiver and get your elbow in, and just kind of give yourself like a bone mass to your side where everything is as tight as it can be, and it kind of reduces the wobble and gives you that chance to break the shot clean. So 357 Magnum Rossi, silhouette shooting coming up here this summer. I'll take you all along with me, and we'll get to see a little bit of it, and I'll try to film. A lot of guys up there don't like no cameras in their faces. They take it a little bit more serious, and I don't want to go around disturbing the guys, because that isn't going to work. But if I can sneak some footage in, and I'm not in anybody's way, I'll do that for you guys. And when me and my friend go up to practice, I might we might do a little bit of video, and so you can see how it works, and things of that nature. So if you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, give me a comment if you could. And I just started doing this a couple weeks ago. It's been kind of nasty outside. Me and my wife are at each other. We just can't sit and look at each other all winter long. So I come up here, and I've started to do this. I usually come up and reload, and then let her do her thing. And then right now she's downstairs, kind of happy that I'm up here doing this. So that's just part of this, just kind of a new hobby for mine. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but I'm hoping. Thanks, and subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think about this content below. Thanks for watching my video.